Welcome to part two for the Blurred Shirt. This is going to be our second topic. We are going to be talking about Black Heroes Matter, and we're going to be talking about how Black heroes are being pushed into the media with comics, TV, movies, everything. We're going to break down how these characters are portrayed and what we've seen in these films and everything. So let's get into the second half, y'all. What is the difference between a black hero and a white hero? And I'll start off this question because I want you guys to piggyback off this. So my opinion and the difference between this is in comics media and everything, pop culture, I believe that the motive for that we see in for whites in comics, that how they're labeled, um, they seem to more have like that domination aspect to them, where they want to have that control, and then the story's pretty much finished. They have everything. With black stories, I feel like it's different because it's more of how you see um, the struggle, more of a struggle, and how to come out of that, um, and being hated through oppression and especially skin color, because that's the main thing is what's going on
Right.
with today. I want to ask you first, Trey. What do you think is the difference? I'm kind of piggybacking off what I said.
Um, so I'm gonna say the main difference besides skin color, I would say, is the trials that they face.
Mm,
Um, because at the end of the day, they're all trying to do the right thing. They're just trying to be good
yeah.
heroes, and but the way that they go about doing these things, they may look at certain things differently. You know what I mean? Like comparing Miles Morales to Peter Parker.
Hmm.
Miles might look at a situation differently, maybe saying a mugger is, you know, uh, he's mugging someone, and Miles might see it as, this man, I've seen him in my neighborhood. He's
Hmm.
not a bad dude. Circumstances, whatever. Now Peter Parker might also see that, but he might have a different viewpoint as to how he has grown up. So he might
Okay.
see it more of a negative light than Miles might. So they might take different approaches into stopping the crime, depending on how they see that instance. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
okay. Okay.
What you think,
Yeah.
OJ?
I I'm a kind of bite off you for a minute. I think that the differences between black heroes and I guess white heroes, it factors into what neighborhoods they're, I guess, policing or heroing, for lack of a better word. Same thing when you have like a black police officer and a white police officer. The black police officer policing his own neighborhood, may know the local kids and things like that. And, he sees somebody growing up and they start robbing people, he's more likely to pull them aside and say, what's going on, man? Why are you doing this? Things like that. Try to get to the bottom of why this person is robbing and it might be something up going on at home. Their mother might have lost their job and they're sick, and they're working to get their medication and stuff like that. Whereas if you get a white officer, he's more likely to just throw them in jail. And I believe the same thing speaks for heroes like Luke Cage. And Miles Morales too. I think that they're more likely to kind of get to the bottom of why the person is robbing. Granted, sometimes you just gotta throw them in jail. But I feel like the difference is the layers and why they do what they do and how they do it is the difference. Where white heroes are just, I'm here to save the day, and that's just it. Not to say that they don't try to get to the bottom of things, but I feel like black heroes, especially when they're I guess heroing in their own kind of area, are more likely to have, I guess, empathy for the villains, not the villains, the bad guys. There's a difference between a bad guy and a villain.
Oh yeah.
For the people who are doing bad guy shit, like the generic bad guy in the beginning of a movie who's robbing somebody or robbing a bank, they're more likely to kind of sit down, not sit down and have a cup of coffee, but instead of flinging them, 20 feet in the air. They're more likely to just, tie them up and, let the police handle it. Whereas white heroes are just there to save the day and, help the police. Blue lives matter, all that shit. And, so that for me, that's the difference between superheroes is the black and white superheroes is the motive of why they do what they do.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's how we do things different. And what it all comes down to is that people understanding why and how everything, like I said before, is added up to where we are today as black people. So, and there's increments in all these, stories that we see of how much change there is and how much change we have to not necessarily be around is how we adapt to it. Because sometimes you might be in a different situation, so like, Spawn might end up in hell or something. You have to get out of that. He might be stuck there and have to find a way to get out of that. That's like a sign of like, to me in my eyes, that like hell is like 1960s, being surrounded by a bunch of KKK members, torches around my house. And for example, like Luke Cage, same thing, just being in the ghetto. He's already in, the hood in Harlem, Brooklyn, everywhere, just doing his thing. So that's just showing how the realism and that every single thing, like even like I was explaining Spawn, it has a meaning. It has a message behind that through our stories because they're more in depth because of how we've transitioned into this life that we've
personal.
Yeah. So I think that our heroes have a lot of exposure that can be, used into film, and we were gonna get there. And the next question I was gonna ask you first, RJ, was right now in media, we're starting to see Black Panther become like the most popular character, but we as Black people, we know plenty other Black characters, popular ones. So I want to ask you, who do you think right now, leaving Black Panther out of this conversation, is another Black hero that is popular? Show ain't Falcon.
Damn. I'll say for this one, I'll probably have to say Miles Morales. Only because right now I feel like he's getting the most exposure, with the PlayStation game, and like I said, it's just refreshing. And I think that has a lot to do with the I guess the renaissance of Black heroes. Is just refreshing to not see the same kind of heroes on the screen. So I feel like Miles Morales to me is probably going to shoot up in popularity because I want to say at one point, or probably still, Spider-Man is Marvel's most popular character. And I feel like, Miles Morales has what it takes as far as like a character to kind of, I guess, be or take over as, one of the not the next Black Panther, but as far as like a cultural phenomenon, you have a lot of people who, aren't really into comic books or not really into games going out and, checking out, who Miles Morales is and things like that. So for me, I think Miles Morales is next. All he needs is a movie. All he needs is a movie.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. People gonna flock like they flock to Black Panther.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. So there's a couple that I want to say. So the first one I'm gonna say is Frozone from The Incredibles. I think if we got a Frozone solo movie, it would do really well because, it's every excuse my stuttering. Every time you see Frozone in The Incredibles is a great moment. To the moment he's getting his super suit, to the moment when he's helping them out in the second movie. He just has so much swag, and
he's a scene stealer, man.
Scene stealer, and you just can't help but love Frozone. And it's Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson has one of those voices where like, yeah, you a cool cat, you a cool dude. And another Samuel L. Jackson character, Nick Fury.
Okay.
I think that if we got a young Nick Fury type movie, that would do really well too. Obviously, it couldn't be Samuel L. Jackson anymore because he's not a
Yeah.
young dude.
Oh,
But
yeah.
um,
And please don't digitize that man. De-age him with. Don't do
Yeah,
that.
don't
Don't do
do
that, y'all.
that.
Don't do that, y'all. It
No.
rarely looks good. It just
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah, it's sloppy. It's a sloppy mix.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. Just hire somebody that looks like the person. There's somebody out there. There's like 8 billion people in the world. Somebody look like a motherfucker. Like, just
Someone
go.
can,
Yeah.
someone can do his voice. Someone can figure
Somebody.
it out.
Everybody has a doppelganger.
Mhm.
Everybody. Go find it.
Everybody.
But
I
so
agree,
yeah, Nick Fury, think that would be great. Plus, it's a spy movie. Everyone loves a spy movie.
Oh
Why
yeah.
not?
Yeah.
And then my last one I'm going to say is Cyborg. I think
Ooh.
Cyborg has
Oh.
potential to really blow up and really help out DC because they do a really good job with solo movies. And you do Cyborg right, he's a football player, star football player, turns into a cyborg, kind of has this internal struggle
Yeah.
with not being able to do what he has done before. So I think that could be a really good character to bring to life as well.
I agree. They did him justice in Young Justice.
Mm-hmm.
With his storyline. So I really feel like I'm with you on that. Cyborg definitely could be the next big thing. And I want to add, thinking about it, Storm. If you don't cast Alexandra Shipp as Storm and you get someone who's that regal, that kind of Storm, I feel like it can be, she can probably be, especially because there's not really I guess a prominent Black female superhero right now. So I feel like that's something that needs to be done too. I know we have Misty Knight from Luke Cage, and they were going to give them their own like spinoff or whatever, but we need a Black female. And I want to say Storm was probably the only one, probably after Shuri, because she's going to ride the Black Panther thing out. But I feel like Storm would be a good one too.
Okay. Hey, all great. Like, hey, I didn't even think about any of those. So y'all, I'm glad y'all brought those up. Like, y'all are my experts. That's why we're on this show. So I think, yeah, Cyborg is definitely one of like the underrated character that's not looked upon. Obviously, we see him in like some like Justice League and Teen Titans and stuff, but I still don't think he's popular enough because I think what gets to people is the robot aspect of him. But fans complain about whatever, but I think that he is an interesting character and he does have a cool background. And RJ, I'm sorry, you mentioned two people. You said
Storm and Miles Morales.
Yeah, Storm. I think we're ready to see that. We're finally ready to see the very first. Like, I think Storm, like, she could have her own movie, but it depends. I mean, not necessarily to the point where it's going to be just pushed out. It has to be a slow process.
Yeah, but it has to be written right.
Yeah,
from the beginning and not beginning of the movie, but she has to be introduced the right way at the right time.
Because also, if you look at it, Storm has so much depth to her because she also eventually marries T'Challa. So she's originally from Wakanda, somehow gets to be a part of the X-Men, reconnects with T'Challa, they get married, So there's a lot of stuff you could do with that as well.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. I think there's 3 characters that are going to be exploited now into every single universe. So I think obviously the character I mentioned before, one of my favorites, John Stewart, Green Lantern. I think it's his time. I think he's almost going to get that time, and I think he deserves that because there's even though there's 2 Green Lanterns, there's a lot of 2 versions of everything, but still his story for fans to the most, I think they appreciate more than Hal. I don't think it's because he's white. I think that's just because the story is just better because he has more crossovers with the Justice League than Hal does. But and the other 2 characters I want to mention were Monica Rambeau. And I say Monica Rambeau because I think not just because she's going to be in the WandaVision show. I think that it's because how Captain Marvel is not just going to necessarily pass the mantle. I think that at a point that she might die, and then Monica might have to take up the, or just become her own, just not necessarily like the Miles Morales and Peter Parker story, but maybe in a different way. But who knows what that would look like. And my third, I just had it, but for right now, I think that these two characters are the most important because it's on both sides, and it's gonna really show just not the lead. It's gonna progress our stories even further. So moving on to our next topic, basically, I wanted to ask you guys is what is it like seeing a Black hero on the screen for the first time for you, Trey?
So I can't remember what specific movie or show that it was that I saw, whether it be Blade or X-Men, where I saw Storm or something like that. But I always remember when I had seen these heroes, I just thought that one, it was really cool because everything leading up to the moments where I've seen those heroes, it's only been white heroes, which it's fine. I love all superhero stuff. But when you see someone who, you share the, melanated essence with, it just gives it that much more of a cool feeling for you. It makes you kind of want to like it more. And it kind of just shows that, especially if they do the character right, shows that swag they have, that that essence of character that you don't really see with your other typical heroes, And I also want to say, growing up, I did not know that John Stewart was not the original Green Lantern, because I watched the Justice League and I hadn't really read comics at that point. So I was like, John Stewart's the original Green Lantern. And then they were like, no, it's Hal Jordan. I was like, oh no, y'all tripping.
You were mad as hell, huh?
Yeah, I was like, you guys are just stupid.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Batman voice.
Exactly.
What do you think, RJ? Who do you think is
my first superhero?
Your first superhero.
I want to say very early. It was probably Storm, but I want to say I might have seen Blade first before I saw X-Men. I'm not sure what came out first, but believe it or not, I didn't realize Blade was a superhero at all. I just thought he was a vampire. I guess I couldn't, because I didn't know it was a comic when I had saw the movie.
Same.
So I didn't know he was a hero until probably maybe about 10 years later, maybe. But I want to say that probably was the first time in Static Shock, of course. And I feel like it resonated with me a little more because, he was young, he had a Black family, he, even the way he interacted with, his family and his friends was like how I interacted with my family and my friends. And I like Trey said, I like all superheroes, but that's because I like superheroes. But it's something different about seeing somebody that, kind of looks like you, that you can kind of connect to and resonate. Something resonates in you, concerning that character. So for me, Static Shock was probably the first character that I clung to, as far as like Black superheroes go. And it's important. I don't think people realize or understand that how important representation is, not just for Black people, but for everyone. They, taking away from superheroes, just the characters in general. I wish that we would get an Asian character that wasn't, the nerd or, or the cool Asian like Jake Long, who's using all of this outdated slang that nobody uses. I think that people really need to understand that when you're writing a character of a particular race, that somebody of that race, not just one person, there needs to be some bodies in the room, telling you, hey, this is how you write this. This is how we act. This is because a lot of things that Black people do, we do it because it's cultural. It's not like it's something that's kind of born in us, the way we talk, the way we move, the way we interact with our friends and family, the way we can code switch, things like that. All of that stuff is cultural. And so for me, Static Shock was the first person that I kind of really connected with. Blade was too old for me to connect because he was a grown ass man. But Static Shock, Storm was a regal female, couldn't connect to that. But Static Shock was the first superhero I saw that looked like me, that, was doing things that doing things that I was doing, hanging out with friends and, talking back to your parents, teasing your sister, and in that kind of loving, culturally way, not like, Mom, Jimmy's pulling my pigtails, but no, like really cracking jokes back and forth on his sister, talking about her cooking, her looks. Like, that's how we are, Black people. We're very, jokey. So that's what I kind of liked about Static Shock, was that I saw myself in him.
Yeah, no, that's wow. Yeah, both of y'all bring great points. And I think going back to what you said, RJ, representation is everything. It doesn't matter what kind of who you are or what form it's in. It's just seeing yourself gives you kind of a pathway to what you want to be, or someone that you could potentially be through seeing elements within them to create your own personality. So I think, that's well said from both of you. I think it's all about how we're showing these different parts of who we are. It's just like we just come from so much, and we just have so much to show with our talents and skills. It's just not we're not on this monolith. We're not just good at one thing. We're not just good at basketball. Yeah. We're not just good at football or just whatever the stereotypes are. We're not all Black people eat chicken. So
not all Black people love watermelon. You know what I mean?
Right? We're layered. Our palates are sophisticated. Still alive. Okay. It happens, folks. It happens.
Yeah, no, I think I sent a shockwave through RJ's heart just now.
All right. That's it. I heard watermelon and I got excited.
Some brothers out here eating escargot and stuff like that. Now that's not for me. I will say that. I'm not gonna try that.
That's going too far, man. Sorry for shocking your system, RJ.
Right.
Put a
shock to your system, Static Shock. I see what you did there. Clever.
Slap your knee. That was a knee slapper.
Put the fire out, right? So okay. Getting on our last steps. Just a few more questions I got for y'all. So one question I wanted to ask you, I know this is something that you guys notice. Why do Black comic book characters always end up animals, aliens, or creatures? So I'm going to pass this question to you, RJ, because Trey, you went last time, and I know you have something to say.
Okay, this frustrates me. And it's not something, and I know this is about Black heroes and Black characters, but this is something that gets done to, and not to say it doesn't happen to white characters, but this is something that gets done to characters of color a lot. Princess and the Frog, Brother Bear, that Will Smith movie, Soul. It's frustrating because we have a lot more to give than just a journey in another body. It's why can't Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy, why is it that Black actors or Black characters are only acceptable when we're portrayed as not human for the majority of the movie or ever? And it's something that it's always kind of bothered me. Like, and I don't like to rain on parades, but y'all know film is my thing. Movie, television. That's why, I created the Silver Site originally, because it's my thing. But when Princess and the Frog first came out, I was happy, but at the same time, I was very frustrated because there's never been a black Disney princess before, you know?
I was just saying that
And
today.
it never. And then she spends the majority of the movie a frog.
Yeah.
It bothered me because we get to see Cinderella, Mulan, Pocahontas, Aurora. We get to see all these, you know, princesses, Belle, Snow White. I can go on and on and on.
Yep.
And they get to be who they are. They get to be, you know, they get to sing, they get to be feminine, they get to, you know, be princesses and marry princes. But you have this woman in the bayou as a frog the whole movie. And it bothers me. Even if you go with Emperor's New Groove, Cusco was a damn llama for the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is with, I don't know if it's like a white writer thing to where they don't know how to write for characters of color unless they are animals. And it's something that's bothered me. It's something that always bothers me. Like, I'm excited for Soul. Don't get me wrong. I really am. I'm going to go see it. But at the same time, it annoys me because why can't we have the journey of a black man? Why do they think that we can only be not attainable? What's the word? Why do they think we're only relatable when we're not human? And that's something that always bothers me, bro. And it's something that I really hope changes in the near future. But that is something that really gets under my skin, is because we have so much more to offer. We're so layered. We have other journeys to go on. We have so many stories that can be told. But why do we have to learn a lesson through being an animal to earn our humanity at the end of the movie?
Yeah, no,
I need to get that off my chest for a while.
So, hey, by all means, say what you want to say, and I agree with everything that you said. But I'm gonna pass this one to Trey before I finish what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So, before you initially told us this question in the outline before, I hadn't really thought about it, and then after I saw it, I was like, you know what? Kind of is true. Like you saying, Princess and the Frog, Emperor's New Groove, Brother Bear, stuff like that. And it also made me think of, you know, characters who aren't specifically stated as black, but we know they're black. Like Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
You know,
Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter, you know he's black. The whole Goofy movie, you know that they're black.
Powerline's black.
Who, AKA voiced by Tevin Campbell, you know, kind of throw that in there, but black. Yeah. So, you know, it kind of does ask the question, why do we have to be put in as animals just to be made into a relatable story? And I just think that also needs to change. Like, just straight up follow the life of a black man, and, you know, give us a great animated movie like that, because there's so much stuff you could do with that that could just, you know, make it great.
Endless possibilities. Endless possibilities. There's so many stories that can be told. You can like Inside Out, that could have very well easily been a black girl dealing with her emotions.
Yeah,
I agree. No, I mean, that's another great example. And I think this is my opinion. I think what Hollywood does, and I don't know, but like you said, RJ, if it's a white writing thing, and I think that what they try to do is that so much from the beginning of time has been like really messed up with our past and everything, adding up to where we are now, just get, you know, for human rights. So I think that what Hollywood does is they take ourselves and then they put that into an animal, creature, whatever. And then what happens is that takes off the lightheartedness of the character, because they're like, you know, people in general are scared of black people sometimes, and when they're walking around or whatever for no reason. Yeah. And taking off the lightheartedness is like, oh, he's not black, so now he's an animal, so I don't have to like be as scared, because it's less scary seeing an animal and not as a black person. So when you put that into a character, you're taking off that image. You're saying, and if someone says something about the frog, like, oh, hey, that frog's jumping around Like
Yeah,
he's
it
done, like,
eliminates the threat.
yeah, it eliminates, like, saying like,
Okay.
hey, like what he said isn't racist. So
Yeah.
you can't say it
Okay.
because he's a frog and he's not, you're talking about a frog,
Yeah.
but he's
Okay.
still a frog.
All of it, that makes perfect sense.
If that makes any type of sense.
Yeah,
That
I
was
get
like
what you're
that's my
saying.
dive deep into it. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um I think Hollywood does that. That's my opinion. I think they try to take the intimidation away from the audience and to make it seem more subtle.
Yeah.
Which sucks because it's like we don't do that. We're not threatening people.
Yeah.
And if you
But
think
they
we are,
don't know that.
they don't know that. Yes, because the reason if we were threatening is because of the beginning of time we were threatened at first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's what Hollywood does, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you think about that, Maximum Spider?
Yeah, I mean, I, with you saying that, it does make sense. They're trying to maybe give us more diversity in that, but also trying to make it so that people will still watch the whatever it is that they're showing. So, Princess and the Frog, it's a frog jumping around. It's not intimidating. This,
Exactly.
but
See the intimidation factor. They're taking that away. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
because in like Brother Bear, good example of Native Americans. There's kind of which also Native Americans are not talked about enough in
anything.
So I think Brother Bear was a good representation of the Native American culture, but they turned him into a bear, which normally would be threatening, but in this sense of the movie, kind of made him into a relatable character.
There's a docile bear.
Yeah, and so like on one hand, I don't like it that we're all portrayed as like animalistic, like beasts, something like that. But then I guess on the other hand, I do see it as us getting more accepted by a broader audience.
Yeah, it's like that's the only way they know to introduce Black people to an audience is to, well, let's like Jay said, eliminate the threat and make them an animal. Make them a little blob of soul, and kind of dehumanize them to humanize them, which is crazy when you think about it. Like you can just literally just make a Black character.
Yeah.
Doing all of this, and you can literally just make a Black character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's just my opinion on it. It's just something I just been thinking about, and it just goes to show that we still have a long way to go, but we have come far, but we need to go farther. And this is the last question because we're running out just a little bit of time. But so this one's gonna go to back to Trey, or actually no, RJ. I'm sorry. Last question: do we need to change Black culture and express the right type of different messages, or do we need to continue what we're doing and show that our history?
I'll say this. I think that Black people are layered just like anyone else. I don't believe that there's anything that we should have to do in order to be accepted as or to be accepted in the media. I feel like what needs to happen is there need to be more Black people in the writers' room. There need to be more Black people in the director's chair. There need to be more Black people producing things. And I think that's kind of what's going to change that, because different Black stories will be told. And no disrespect to Tyler Perry, if you're out there watching this some way or another, or some random reason, no disrespect to you, but there are other people out there who are just as talented as Tyler Perry that can tell different stories of Black people and portray us differently in the media. I feel like we should be allowed to be flawed in order to, we shouldn't have to be, I guess, unflawed. I haven't eaten dinner yet, so if unflawed is not a word, my apologies. We shouldn't have to be unflawed in order to be accepted. I believe that we should be able to be portrayed as kings and queens. We also should be able to be portrayed as, gangsters. We should be able to be smart, funny, sad, depressed, gay, straight. We should be able to be portrayed on such a wide spectrum because we are on such a wide spectrum. And so for me, is I don't think we need to change anything that we're doing. I think that we need to get the opportunities to tell more stories. There are plenty of Claire Huxtables out there. There are plenty of Lizzos out there. You know, there's some relatable Black person out there. There's some relatable Black story out there to be told. So, like I said, just circle back to the questions. I don't think there's anything that we need to do differently. I just think we need more access to tell more stories, because even the superhero stories, you know, Silver Sight at one point was being turned into a comic. And I think, I don't know if I showed you guys like the concept art or whatever, but there are people out here with stories to tell. We just don't have the means, the resources, or the financing to tell these stories. So if anybody's watching out there and you want to fund the Silver Sight comic book, please email me at fortheblurcher@gmail.com. And either Trey or Jay or myself will get back to you at our earliest convenience. Thank you.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, gotta plug it. You know, we trying to quit our jobs.
Straight up.
But no, I love your answer, RJ. I think, yeah, I agree with you. And I'm gonna pass the same question to Trey. I'll re-ask it for you. Do we need to change our Black culture and the right types of messages in comics in our history?
So I agree with RJ. You know, I don't think that Black folks need to change their culture or anything. I just feel like in media, it kind of needs to be more shown. We need to show more of, you know, the positives of what we got going on. You know, the block parties we throw, the how we celebrate death rather than mourn, and, you know, just stuff like that. And, you know, the food and all of just all of it, pretty much.
The
culture, just show it all, show the positives of that. And, you know, I think we are slowly getting better at doing that in the media and in movies, but, you know, at the moment it's still not enough. And like you were saying, there's so many talented producers out there. Ryan Coogler, Spike Lee. You know, Spike Lee joints always hit. They always hit different. They're always great movies. Ryan Coogler produced Black Panther. You know, one of the most popular superhero movies out there to date. Hey, there you go. Wakanda Forever, right over left. And, you know, it's just, we have so much more opportunities to do this, especially with, you know, Miles Morales' game. It shows the culture of Harlem that he's in. It shows, you know, it just shows the culture of the Black community and just culture of minorities, pretty much.
Yeah, he even moves different.
He has so much more swag and does things differently. And I like that we're starting to slowly climb that ladder of the Black excellence that I think everyone needs to see. And yeah. No,
we'll say it from the both of you. And I'm just going to end on both of your remarks by saying, basically, you're going off what you said, Trey. We don't need to change anything at all. And same thing, I know you said that too, RJ. It's just because the way life was from the beginning, history started. So if we start changing our history, we're not going to show the true nature of how things started from the beginning of time. Because once you delete history, you had nothing. And Black people, we come from nothing. But we're trying to excel even more because we don't want to show how people think our true nature is, that we're savages and labeled as crazy or whatever. We need to show that all that comes from, you know, mental health disorders because of situations we've been in, poverty and health disorders, whatever it is, because all this it adds up. The food we eat today too, like you were saying, Trey, it all adds up to what we were doing or what we who we are today, because it's so important how much history we have and how to understand that and to move forward, not by deleting, but by progressing and harnessing and educating the youth and everybody else that wants to know Black stories. And American history is Black history. Black history is everything around you right now. And people need to understand that as far as media, what you see, not everything is true. Black people are way different. We're not always labeled as the ghetto, or we are labeled as the ghetto and whatever, like I was saying earlier. But like you were saying earlier, Trey and RJ, we have different types of personalities. We have different types of looks too, light skin, dark skin, black skin, whatever. Even blacks are still labeled African, Ethiopian, everything. So we come in all
spectrum.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a spectrum of Black people, and we're layered as fuck. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You know, we get labeled as this, and that, and, you know, everything from, you know, beneath the earth to a child of God. And we deserve to have all of those stories told. You know, we don't deserve to be judged or anything like that. We deserve to have our story out there.
Agreed.
Hey, I will say what needs to change about Black culture. Parents, take your kids to the hospital. Everything is not going to be solved with, you know, with the medicines you can buy in the store.
I ain't going to no emergency room. I got that plenty of times.
Talking about, I broke my leg. Oh, you be fine. Just walk it off. You know,
I ain't going to the emergency room tonight.
Trey just broke the fourth wall.
he set up for that too. And after y'all take your kid to the emergency room, please take your children to therapy. Some people need to speak to somebody. Please go to therapy.
It's funny, but it's serious at the same time. Yeah. There's a lot of struggles with, you know, mental health disorders in every community, but mainly the Black community. So we need to,
because we don't address it. We don't address it.
We don't. So make sure, like, you guys reach out to just, you know, someone who's close to you, whoever, your friends, family, whatever, because it's important. Family is important. That's all we have, and it's what we need. And we all need to just understand our culture and move forward into the media by expressing that and showing who we are.
Yeah, and this is why representation in Black media and characters and superheroes is so important, because sometimes you need somebody to tell you that you're okay, that you're normal, that your story isn't, you know, anything out of the ordinary. And, you know, circling back, this is kind of why we wanted to do the show about Black heroes and Black characters mattering, because representation is so important, and we want to discuss the importance of what it means to see yourself inside of a character. And I can't wait to dive back into this again, because we kind of went over our time today, but I want to do a part 2 on this, and we kind of dive a little bit deeper into Black characters and Black media behind and in front of the camera. And yeah, so that's kind of what we wanted to do today, was talk about Black heroes and how much they mean to us, and, you know, what we saw and what we saw in ourselves. I still haven't eaten, guys. Sorry. We wanted to kind of talk about seeing ourselves in Black characters. There you go. Seeing ourselves in Black characters for the first time.
Yeah, no, I agree. We can talk about this all day. History, just from where we come from and our backgrounds. But in all, it's just that we have so much to tell, and we're starting to see that thrive in the media. And I say, let's continue this. Blurred is always bond. That's going to be.
Blurred is bond.
Blurred is bond.
So, and thank you guys so much for watching the video, joining live. It's you know, it's always fun with these two guys. You always get to chat it up after and just have a good time and just talk about culture stuff. And we like bringing in our community that we have to share our thoughts with you guys, because you know, we're the exact same as you, except we just come from a different background. That's all. Yep. So you guys got anything else do you want to say before we check out?
Yeah, make sure you tune into Hero Harrison podcast. I know we're going to plug it in a minute, but we're going to be releasing, you know, we're still going to be releasing videos on and podcasts on a regular, but every Tuesday we're going to be dropping a video here at For the Blurcher. So make sure you hit subscribe, like. We're also going to be rebranding our social medias over from the Silver site to For the Blurcher. So if you see us on your timeline, we didn't hack or nothing like that. We're rebranding everything to match across the board, from social media, from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that. As you can see, I have a scroll on the bottom. Make sure to follow all three of us at For the Blurcher on Instagram, Twitter, and all social media platforms.
What you got for us, Trey?
Hey, yeah. So same what RJ said. Follow us on all the platforms. You could get me at Maximum Spider on Instagram. If you can't spell that, it's right here for you.
Smart.
I'm also on TikTok, Spider Boy. I think it's just Spider Boy. If it's not, it's Spider Boy Trey. One of that. You can get me on Facebook and follow us on Facebook, guys. I think we have a good, little stuff that we post. We're getting on the Instagram stories more, and we're trying to connect with you guys more. So just let us know what you guys want us to talk about, and we will most likely talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, and like you said, hey, follow me on Instagram at Hero Harrison Talk. Make sure you follow us on Facebook for the Blurcher, on all platforms, Twitter. You can follow me on Snapchat at Hero Harrison. And if you want any suggestions for the future talk on the podcast, just email me at heroharrisontalk@gmail.com. Other than that, y'all, thank you so much for watching again. We appreciate you guys. Blurred is bond.
Blurred is bond.
Blurred is bond.